Hi everyone, Coldon here with another VOX Immortalis commentary guide. This video is for Heroic Halfus, and this is an addendum to our previous Heroic Halfus video. The reason for this video is actually because since the previous one, the patch 4.0.6 was released, and with it came such significant changes to this fight that it almost completely negates the previous strategy that we posted. Some of it still applies, but so much was changed for the better that some guild members suggested putting this up as sort of an addendum. Also, I'm trying out with this video not adding music in the background. A couple people suggested that the music was somewhat distracting, so if you have an opinion one way or the other, feel free to leave a comment and let me know if you like the music or prefer it without. Anyway, so the patch brought a few major changes. The big one was that Halfus no longer gains a damage taken debuff upon releasing drakes or whelps, and instead only gains the debuff when drakes or whelps are killed. But to offset this, the debuff is now 100% per stack rather than 50%, and the damage that the drakes deal to tanks has been lowered pretty significantly. They still hurt, but it's much more in line, at least for 10-man, than it was prior. And previously, the skew in damage from the drakes was so high on 10-man compared to the healers you had and the tanks you had that you really had to stack the raid. And that was, of course, one of the reasons for Disciplined Priest healing, because it was so strong. So now it's more in line, and drakes are deal damage closer to Halfus. So for this new patch, our basic strategy is to release 2 drakes at the beginning, and our paladin tank, due to his block mechanics, picks up both drakes. As a druid, I pick up Halfus to try to take advantage of dodge for the strike debuff early on. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. And then our death knight, who has the highest AE threat, picks up the whelps, which are also released immediately. DPS focuses on the whelps just as before, and once they're dead, we move on to one of the 2 drakes that was spawned earlier, and at that point, Halfus has a pretty high stack on the first tank, so he's taunted off by the tank that was on the whelps, and then I pick up, the Halfus tank, which was me in this case, picks up Time Warden. And at that point, your raid should start trying to dodge Fireball Barrage and such. Prior to that, it's really difficult to dodge it just because of the travel time. So it's better to just find positions somewhat spread out. Around 8 yards, I think you need to be. And then just let AE healing take care of it. And at this point, once you've killed off the whelps and the first drake, it's pretty simple to survive until you get to the final phase. So just continue focusing single target on the drakes. Doesn't really matter the order. Make sure you keep them close enough to Halfus that if your interrupter for Shadow Nova on Halfus is a melee, which in our case is our enhancement shaman primarily, that they're close enough together that he can do that and still attack drakes. Also, you may consider releasing Slate Dragon. It sort of depends on your raid's DPS and survival. But we've done this fight twice since the patch, and happened to one-shot it both times, not because we're so awesome, but just because the changes were so significant. And both times we found that Slate Dragon was unnecessary. We were able to kill the 4 drakes prior and leave the slate unactive and still kill Halfus before Berserk. It's not a great deal of time before the Berserk, but it's enough to do it, and adding on killing another drake probably wouldn't help that much. You would get 100% more damage on Halfus, obviously, once it died, but of course you'd lose damage actually dealing the death to the drake, so probably comes out pretty even. The one advantage is if you need greater survival, Slate Dragon really helps with tank survival, just because Halfus is stunned a lot. It'll also stun his Furious Roar casts every once in a while, which is really helpful. So judge, based on your raid. And other than that, things are pretty much the same. At 50%, he starts doing Furious Roar. Another thing in the patch that was changed is that the Shadow Nova casts are not as frequent. And what this does is, occasionally, after Furious Roar ends, he does not do the follow-up Shadow Nova right away. So you still need to be prepared for it, with a Mage Blink or similar, but it doesn't happen every time now. And as before, the AE effects plus the Roar can be deadly, so our Shaman there got unlucky, but was able to pop up right away. And other than that, things are much easier now, so highly suggest trying this fight out first if you're working on heroics, and thanks for watching.